Welcome to In the Middle of It. I'm Jeb Hart. I'm so happy to be with y'all here on this Monday, the 23rd. Thank you for being with me. Got my boy Clayton Harris back with me in the studio. How are we, Clayton?
I'm doing well, Jeb. Good morning.
Oh, good morning to you. Had a much more calm three dudes this morning, so I don't think we need much of a decompression session.
That was great. I mean, if
it
could be like
informative
that
and helpful.
If it could be like that every day, that would be huge. Yeah.
So it helps us get through. We don't have to do a decompression, so we can kind of get right into it because there's a lot to get into today. If you've been watching headlines over the past 24 hours, things are stacking up in the way that, really does tell a bigger story in a lot of different aspects. We'll get into that. We're going to start with what's happening in Washington. We kind of alluded to it a bit near the end there, but the DHS funding standoff and airport chaos and the quiet shift in how the administration's handling it. Not just what's happening there, but how the game is being played underneath it. We're going to touch on the Antifa trial and verdict in Texas and why that case may end up having some bigger implications than people might realize, especially when it comes to how loosely organized movements are treated in courts moving forward. Then a little later, we'll zoom out and get into some of the other stories making some noise right now, a mix of serious and not so serious, because we all know that everything we're talking about doesn't have to be so heavy. And I would like to make sure everybody is up to date on the Afro Man defamation proceedings.
Oh my God. Is that not like it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I gave people a recap on it last week, but I will, but in one of the other future segments coming up, I'll give everybody a baseline as to what led up to this again, and then some of the highlights from the trial as it unfolded, and I will keep you all on pins and needles, so don't Google it, but I'll let you know the verdict in the trial.
I can't get lemon pound cake out of my head.
Oh, it's a banger. I mean,
it's going to be a top hit for the summer songs of 2026.
It is delightful, and Jeb, we will absolutely get into that. But we are going to start.
Oh, I was going to. Can I mention real quick? Can I mention real quick? I don't know if you have the news zone right now, but there's been a crash at LaGuardia Airport
I saw that with a plane ran
Air
into
Canada plane. Yeah.
Yeah, it ran into a fire rescue truck on the ground.
Killed both pilots.
Yeah. I saw that happen 30 minutes ago. I don't know enough about it to tell our listening audience any more about it than they can find. I'm sure we'll have more details on what happened tomorrow, and I can relay it with updates as to where the stuff went, where the things went wrong as best they find it, because that does seem like a massive oversight. And it does kind of dovetail into what we're talking about with the DHS funding, because, we got to talk about what's really happening to understand, so we can understand a lot more than just this story in front of us. Because if anybody flew this week or turned on the news, you saw it or you felt it in person. What was kind of the ripple effects. And if you haven't, then you're about to. So you can, if you want to understand Washington, you don't start with policy, you start with leverage. Because what you're watching right now with DHS funding, like I said before, isn't about the TSA. It's not even really about ICE. It's about who can force the other side to blink first. And right now, airports across the country are feeling it. Like lines are stretched past security checkpoints, wrapping into terminals and baggage claims, barely moving. People missing flights that were booked months ago, sitting there refreshing boarding passes, watching departure times flip from on time to delayed. TSA is working without pay. Some are quitting. Some just aren't showing up. Some are using sick days. And that's the pressure point. That's the pain. And in Washington, pain is never accidental. Most of the time, it's manufactured leverage. And the reason that that pain exists is because Democrats and Republicans are locked into a standoff over DHS funding. Primarily, Democrats want massive changes made to ICE, policy changes, enforcement changes, procedural changes. And instead of passing a law to do that, which that is their job to do, they are holding up funding in order to get their way, which, to be fair, is not new. Congress has used funding as leverage forever, but this is the one, this is where things get interesting, is because ICE was already funded for multiple years, which means the part of DHS at the center of this political fight isn't the part breaking down. So while TSA agents are missing paychecks, while airports are backing up, and while pressure builds, the thing they're mad about, ICE, still operational. So the administration, what did they decide to do? They took a look at the imbalance and they decided to flip it. And now you've got ICE agents being deployed into airports to support TSA operations. They're not running the scanners. They're not replacing TSA agents entirely, but can they check IDs? Can they guard lanes? Can they guard entrances and exits? Keep the lines moving so the whole system doesn't seize up? Yeah, absolutely. So in other words, using this part of the part of DHS that is funded to patch the part that isn't, and politically it's a pretty clean move because it changes the optics immediately. Instead of the administration can't manage a shutdown, it becomes the administration found a workaround. Instead of chaos proves failure, it becomes chaos being managed while Congress fights. And some of the critics would come out and would say, is it legal or is it practical? So you can talk about the legality because that's always the next question. Can they even do that? Short answer, yeah. Within not that big of limits, yeah, they can do that because they turned ICE agents. They can't turn ICE agents into TSA agents overnight. That distinction does matter because ICE agents are federal law enforcement. They are trained and they do have authority. And there's nothing inherently illegal about reassigning personnel within DHS to support other functions. They've done versions of this thousands of times in other high pressure situations. At this scale across all the airports, no, but the concept as a whole is not new. But it is important to know that TSA agents are not ICE agents nor the other way around. And ICE agents are not trained to run X-ray machines. They're not trained in aviation screening protocols. So if they stay just in support roles as is being discussed by checking IDs, managing flows, managing security, it certainly helps the problems we're seeing. If they start drifting into specialized functions, that's where problems would start. And I know critics are already raising that concern. Unions, lawmakers, civil liberty groups, et cetera, people who are always going to be the ones to say something. And so there's a risk here, but there's also the reality of what's going on. And the alternative to not doing anything is a lot worse. So, the airports don't function without TSA, and TSA doesn't function without people showing up. And people don't show up forever if they don't get paid. It's not politics. That's just human nature, pretty straightforward. And you can talk about if we do want to talk about the politics side of it, and that's where it kind of gets pointed, is that this move does something very specific. It takes the Democrats' leverage and weakens it. Because the strategy was relatively simple from their side. It was create enough public pain that the Republicans are forced to negotiate on ICE, not inside the system, but outside of it. At airports, in headlines, in people's daily lives. But the administration can reduce that pain if they can, even partially. That urgency drops. And when urgency drops, leverage drops, and that's the game they play. And both parties know how to play it. This move says we're not going to negotiate under pressure. We're going to relieve the pressure, and then we can have a chat. And that's the shift that this makes. It doesn't solve the problem, but and it doesn't reopen DHS. TSA folks still aren't going to get their paychecks, and it doesn't resolve the standoff, but it buys time. And in Washington, time is power. And the part that people don't pay attention to enough is because this isn't just about airports. Once you start using one agency to backfill another during a funding fight, what you're really doing is expanding the playbook for every administration that comes after you. This is about precedent because once this workaround exists, it doesn't stay a workaround. It becomes one of the options you have at your disposal. And if one administration can do it, the next one can. And that's how things tend to grow. And so if you want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you got Congress using funding as leverage, happened 1,000 times before. Executive branch using personnel as leverage, happened 1,000 times before. And the public stuck in the middle, happened 1,000,000 times before. And just so happens this time that public is waiting in the line at the airport and very, very frustrated. And that's modern governance. It's not clean, it's not linear. It's a series of moves and counter moves and workarounds. And if you're looking for the right side of all this, you're not going to find it. But if you're trying to understand it, this part is key, is that policy is what they argue about. Leverage is how they operate. And in Washington, the side that manages the pressure and survives it usually wins. And this was just a time delay tactic, and I think it was a brilliant Uno reverse card pull on the motivations and the practicality because they want ICE gone. They're like, you're going to see a lot more of them in your day-to-day life. The people that don't get them, it is legal, it is doable, they are funded. It is. I'm interested to see. I mean, I know what the initial reactions will be with civil rights and it's not legal. They'll run through a gambit of ploys that aren't going to land, but I wonder what messaging they'll stick with about this that's going to become the prevailing talking point. Because they always have one that the think groups rise to the top, Jim Crow 2.0 or sharp as attack, or we know how the narrative system works. So I'm wondering what words what do you think turn of phrase they're going to cling to as their anti ICE and alleviating TSA concerns? Where do you think they're going to go?
I don't know. It'll be some type of ism, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure someone's sitting in a room somewhere, thinking about how they're going to portray this to the public in some way. Where some victim.
I feel like I see people using a German train station and armed officers asking for papers.
Yeah,
I feel a parallel coming there.
Maybe, yeah.
And even though TSA agents are asking for papers and have for quite a while, and are government employees, and they're they're DHS employees, and they've been doing that for a long time, checking papers, making sure things line up. But the color of the uniform changes, and now we turn into Nuremberg in the late 30s.
That could very easily be where they go with that. Wouldn't shock me. Nothing would surprise me.
Because it does come down to basically people don't care about the attention economy moved on from the ICE protests in Minneapolis. Now we're on to Iran and all that. And so because leverage isn't just what you can get past or what you have the power to do in the 60 vote thing. It's how much public pressure is placed on the elected representatives by their constituents to move forward with something. If people don't care about something, you're not going to risk the political capital you have in order to get it pushed forward. If your people don't care about it, if it's really moving the needle and you're getting calls, or that's kind of part of how the media shifts the narrative, because they're playing all the time. People care about it. And then that, always lends itself to either hyperbole or exceptionalism. And I don't think that is a healthy way to go about it, but that is how we have always worked. But since we moved on to the Iraq thing, the leverage is less already because of the outrage has been reallocated. And so then you take this part out of it because the one thing they're fighting for, they ended up giving them more of it in places that are more, I guess, public facing because they were public facing in so much as they were in these protests having to go through them, but they were not. Ideally, they were just trying to go execute these warrants. People showed up, so they were public facing in those regards. But in this one, their role will be to be public facing and community engaged, which is exactly what they were fighting against. Now they were getting to do it. So I'm interested to see how they play it. And I'm interested to see how they try to make this a bigger deal while they feel like they're getting more traction being against Iran or playing up the whatever version of a failure they see in this as a huge part of undermining, either credibility or the viability of the war. I don't know how if they're going to be able to spin two plates of outrage at once. Spinning outrage plates can be an exhausting endeavor from what I've seen from the outside, because once you start to let the one over here start to wobble because you're really mad about this thing now, once it falls and cracks, no one cares anymore. So you got to keep those angry plates spinning. That is very important, but you got to keep your eye on the plates. You can't just be focused. Right now, they're just eyeballs in on Iran, and the ice plate is wobbling in the corner. They got to jump in and spin it. But if they go too hard, it'll fall off. If they don't spin it enough, it'll wobble and crash to the ground. So they got to be diligent in how they keep people furious moving forward. And so we'll see what they pull out of their playbook. But we are heading to our first break. When we get back, we'll talk about the trial in Texas that I think is pretty interesting. And moving on from there, thank you all for being in the middle of it. We will catch y'all on the other side.
From Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Rogers at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
And I'm Michael Parks Lawrence at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
Together, we're Mr. Bobby Parks' grandsons, and we run his dealership, and we are glad to be part of our local community.
Being family-owned and operated, we invest heavily in our community.
We do things like sports teams, schools, bands, you name it. We try to help everybody we can.
The reason why we do this is because we all love this community.
So come do business with us, your neighbors, at Parks Motor Sales in Columbia, Tennessee, right off Nashville Highway, or at parksmotorsales.com.
Let's talk custom design jewelry. Did you know Tillis Jewelry in downtown Columbia creates custom design jewelry and has been for over 30 years? From one-of-a-kind engagement rings to wedding bands and so much more. We want each piece to be as unique as you are and create a family heirloom for tomorrow. Call today and make an appointment with one of our designers. And just for calling, you will receive a free 30-minute consultation. Tillis Jewelry, creating custom jewelry proudly in Tennessee.
Spring starts at Trips Ace Hardware. On Saturday, April 25th, join us for our 5th annual Spring Day. Our garden center will be in full bloom. Explore premium grills from RegTech, Weber, and Big Green Egg with live demos throughout the day, and Milwaukee Tool on site with a full demo tent. Come see us at 112 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Thanks for shopping local at Trips Ace.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Do you have trees that need trimming or removed? Do you have stumps that you want grounded? A1 Tree Trimming and Removal is a family-owned and operated business local to Columbia and Lewisburg. They also service surrounding Middle Tennessee. We are licensed and insured and provide free estimates. No job is too big, no tree is too small. Give old Luke a call or text Luke at 931-359-3113. Or you can check them out on Facebook and tell A1 Tree Removal that you heard this ad on the radio. If you love America, then you will love A1 Tree Removal.
You're not just a homeowner, you're also an ice maker that didn't read the job description owner. Fortunately, you've got heating and cooling built and tested to keep going. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call Davis Heating and Cooling at 931-388-2090 for all your home comfort needs. Davis Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard dealer and proudly serves the Murray County area. Find Davis Heating and Cooling online and on Facebook or call today 388-2090.
This is Debbie Matthews with the Nashville Realty Group, and if you've been paying attention, you know the housing market has been tough, but rates are beginning to thaw. So if you're thinking about selling, the time to jump in is getting better every day. But if you're thinking about buying, and those interest rates are still a little bit too high, a good agent knows how to negotiate interest rate buydowns, and I'm a good agent. So call me, Debbie Matthews with Nashville Realty Group, 615-476-3224.
Hi, I'm Matt Perales, manager of Murray County Equipment. We help you with all your agriculture and construction equipment needs. We carry a full line of New Holland tractors from compacts to high horsepower. We have a full line of Gravely mowing equipment. We also have New Holland construction equipment, attachments, and accessories for your tractors and a complete parts department. We are locally owned and operated. Come see us at 1075 North James Campbell Boulevard or learn about us on Facebook or contact us at 931-490-8183.
This is Trip Stoltz with Columbia Ace Hardware. I love listening to 101.7 WKOM FM, Columbia, Tennessee.
On the farm, uptime isn't just nice to have, it's a must-have. That's why JLG Ag telehandlers are a multitasking workhorse. Whether moving and loading more, stacking higher, or even accessing tighter spots with compact models, these machines help poultry, cotton, and row crop producers maximize every moment on the job. Once you get behind the wheel, you'll get more done. It's that simple. See JLG Ag telehandlers for yourself. Come out to try green equipment in Columbia, just off Theta Pike. The Mules are back in town, April 9th to 11th at the Murray County Park, Columbia, Tennessee. Live music, vendors, contests, and yes, mules. Mule pulling, gated mules, mule scrambles, and more. Join us Thursday through Saturday at the Murray County Park. Don't miss the Mule Day Parade, 11 a.m. Saturday, April 11th. Visit muleday.com for a complete schedule of events. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Happy you'll be, or the service is free. And the Murray County Visitors Bureau. Plan your visit now at experiencemurray.com.
Welcome back to In the Middle of It. I'm Jeb Hart. I am so pleased to be with you here today on this beautiful Monday. Clayton Harris is here with me in the studio. How are we this Monday, Clayton?
I'm good, Jeb. How are you? Good morning.
Oh, I am doing great. I know we went. Is there anything you want to re-go over from what we went over in the open?
I don't think so. I think.
And it's, yeah, I mean, I want to kind of lay it out there because it's when it comes to things like this, the same thing happens all the time. One side gets to say the other. It's all very dumb because both sides always claim the other side's holding it up.
Right.
But what they're saying is they're holding it up because they're not doing the things that I want them to do. Like, that's a really, really weird way to play. Like if my two sons were playing with a toy and I told them to work it out, and then one just came up to me and was like, this could be over right now if he just gave me all of those toys. He had none and I want them, and that's happening. He's stopping that from happening. So that's why we're fighting and causing a giant scene while y'all are having dinner. That's not a good argument. You can't just be like, that's not how that works. You can't just be like, they're stopping me from having everything I want, and that's why this is going poorly.
Again, this is a classic example of why I think we should have term limits, because if you put term limits on all this stuff, I think it doesn't make the job as appealing. So maybe you get some people in there that are serious about actually doing some stuff instead of enriching themselves or working for the lobbyists and special interests that fund them.
Yeah, and I think term limits or something that I completely agree. And I think the underexplored portion of the benefit of term limits would be those sort of influences. They don't, as soon as you declare for the ballot, you don't get a phone call from Merck Pharmaceutical being like, let me give you money. Like you have to be there a while, have a track record of being in their interest, have them get to you, then the money gets involved after that portion. If your term limits are short enough, you don't really have enough of a track record to be a sound investment for one of these lobbying firms. So that in and of itself takes the money out of it because of the how unsure those companies would be about investing in a political candidate. And I think that that's helpful enough because once you're not beholden, you can speak it. And if you're on term limits on the second one, you're not running for reelection, so you don't need the money from them anymore. So you're not willing to compromise principles for election or, take one on the chin here that you don't really like because this other thing that you want to get a vote for later is more important to you than this thing you don't like. And that's where it starts to go down the hill with me is because you start to rationalize things of like, well, I didn't love that, but for the greater good, for the greater good. And I understand that mentality, but in practice, you just kind of erode away at your moral, backbone piece by piece, and you rationalize it away bit by bit. And then by the time you have scoliosis of your morality, it's too late and you didn't even realize it because it was just a little bit at the time compromise here. And now you don't even know who you are. And that's how it gets, a bit out of hand. We could talk. I'll let you do. Do you want to do the Afro Man thing in the second hour, or do we want to get to that?
Completely up to you.
Let's get the more serious stuff out of the way to start with, and then on our second hour we can get into just the brilliant and hilarious legal saga that is Afro Man. But I want to get to what's happened in Prairieland, Texas. It's a trial that when they were all arrested, we all knew about it. But again, the attention economy, it's been so long and trials sometimes take a bit. And so by the time this went to court, people had moved on to the next thing. So it's important to kind of lay the groundwork because for years, Antifa has operated in a very specific way. They're decentralized, loosely organized, and hard to pin down. And that wasn't by accident. That's by design. And that design is exactly what matters at a macro scale in the case that I'm talking about, because over the past several weeks, a group they are all part of an Antifa-aligned network, has been on trial for the coordinated attack targeting ICE personnel months back. And so we're not talking about trespassing or disorderly conduct or, marching without a permit. We're talking about serious federal charges built around coordination, planning, and violence against federal officers. And so now the other day they came out with a guilty verdict. So, which means this isn't theoretical anymore. This isn't just a loose connection of people anymore. It's coordination, planning, and organization that's now been established as precedent in a courtroom. And that changes the conversation we have about this moving forward. Because if there's no structure, there's no leadership. If there's no leadership, there's no accountability. And that's been the model that's been their protection for quite a while. And up until now, that structure's worked, but not anymore. Because what you're watching is what happens when a decentralized movement collides with a system that decides to treat them as an organized one with the evidence to back it up. And that becomes a problem for them. Because if your entire strategy depends on pretending you're something you're not, it becomes an issue when that comes to the surface that you are exactly that. And you got to be clear about something with Antifa, that this was not a protest. This was a coordinated hit, an attempt to attack federal officers with the stated goal of influencing immigration policy. That matters because when violence is used to create fear or to force political outcomes, that's not activism. That is the definition of terrorism. And that line in this case now, is what we're having, we're being forced to address. And that's the part where it gets a bit more complicated because not everyone in that courtroom looked the same. You had the ringleader who was calm and composed and stoic, kind of smirking throughout the whole thing. Someone who understood exactly what this was, and he knew exactly what he was doing. But you had a ton of others who were there, who were breaking down, who were crying. Some got removed from the courtroom during the sentencing. And that dichotomy matters. It tells you a bit about what these fringe movements are, because one is about strategy, the other is about recruitment. Because movements like this don't grow by accident. They grow by finding people who are isolated or disaffected, looking for meaning, looking for a place to belong, looking for their tribe, and offering them a cause that feels righteous, it feels urgent, it feels moral and immediate. And that cause tells them, you're on the right side of of history, you're with your friends, you're with us. And I don't doubt that most of them believe that. I don't doubt it at all. But believing you're right doesn't make what you're doing right. And it definitely doesn't make it harmless. Because when that belief system is paired with tactics like intimidation or shutting down speech or doxing or harassment, and in this case, coordinated, premeditated violence, you don't have a protest movement anymore. You have something much, much different. And if you take a step back for a second, because this is where the real impact of it hits in the future, is for years, as we alluded to at the beginning, that the lack of centralization was their shield. No leaders, no structure, no organization, which made direct accountability impossible. But this case cuts directly against that. Because once you prove coordination, once you prove planning, once you prove people acting together towards a defined objective, you're not dealing with random acts of moral insertion into situations. You're dealing with an organized movement. And that door has been open. And once it's open, it doesn't close easily. Not just for Antifa, not for other adjacent activist networks, not for loosely organized protest groups operating in that gray space, because the question starts to change from, is this a movement, to, is this an organized effort? And those are two very different legal realities. Now, if we can tie it back to the bigger picture of leverage that we discussed earlier, because the decentralization was their leverage. It allowed coordination without accountability and actions to be taken without consequences for them at any major scale outside of a few arrests at the incident. But what this verdict suggests is that that leverage is probably disappearing. And if that's true, then every group operating this way needs to understand something, that you don't get to claim you're unorganized when your actions and text trails, emails, and everything else claim the exact opposite. You don't get to hide behind the label of protests when your acts cross into terrorism and violence. And some of the people in the courtroom knew exactly what they were doing. The others thought they were just joining a cause and finding a community to be part of something meaningful. And while neither are good, they're not the same thing, but they still end up in the same place, because in the end, belief doesn't determine outcome, actions do. And that's what this case shows pretty clearly, is that, the decentralization that they had relied on for so long is not protection anymore. And when the system decides to treat you like an organization, you become one. And once that happens, accountability follows. And I hope there is more of this, because it has been over the years so infuriating to watch the black mass Antifa folks shut down speeches, boo off protesters, barricade dorm rooms, flip tables, throw rocks, beat people, intimidate, dox, all of this stuff. And then being like, well, Antifa is not even like a real group, so we can't really do anything about it. And and the people who are calling for ICE to take their masks off are the people who are doing interviews with masks on or shutting down interviews. And you know what they're doing, you know what their intent is. There isn't like an elected president, but that is not, the baseline for being called a organized organization or a cohesive organization with a defined goal. They're that. That's pretty straightforward as to what they are. And so I'm glad that this opened the door for them to be held with, I don't know if it goes to RICO or it goes to just domestic terrorism or to be defined like that, because, they've been nothing but violent, and since their inception, using, ironically, incredibly fascist methodologies to fight against fascism, which is another one that ties back into before of the you chip away a little bit at your spine, your moral backbone to be like, well, I know that shutting people down from speaking is a little fascist, but he's saying fascist things. So my fascist thing isn't as bad as what he's about to say. So I can justify that. And by the time you get to the end of that mask wearing crusade, you have, moral scoliosis. And so it just goes down a road of the ends can justify the means for me, but everybody else needs to fall in line. I know what I'm doing. And that's where it gets dangerous. And I hope these people can be held to account. And I hope this sends both a message to people doing these protests or these terrorist actions that it's not going to be taken out just because it's not a centralized, you're not going to be given a free pass for association because it's not technically an organization that you are culpable. And I think that helps. And now that they're being able to be viewed like this, I think a lot of the enforcement on it will go up. And I think that'll be good for discourse in this country on both sides, because you can't have Proud Boys and Antifa and a reasonable conversation at the same time, at the same place. And I think that's been an absolute detriment to us as a society. And we are up against our next break. Thank you all for being in the middle of it. We will circle back and touch on the hits of the day as we continue. Thank you for being with us. See you after the break.
Everything you got, you might be somebody. Tell me everything you thought, you might be somebody. Oh my God, I was a little guy, had so much to say. It's up to you what you really want to do.
This is Coach Tredaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
We at Hollins Pharmacy must be doing something right. We've been providing pharmaceutical services in the Middle Tennessee area for over 60 years. The guiding principles of our business are fast, accurate, friendly, personal service. We do not have long waiting lines, and our phone calls are answered by a staff member. We strive to get to know our customers by name, not just a date of birth or number. We are your locally owned hometown pharmacy, and we appreciate your business. We urge you to come visit us at Hollins Pharmacy, 1608 Hatcher Lane here in Columbia.
Hey, this is Derek Ransom with 10 Pin Alley, voted #1 family entertainment center in Murray County. We offer 32 bowling lanes, giant arcade, laser tag, bumper cars, and a full cafe and bar menu. We also specialize in group events, kids and adult birthday parties, company parties, sports team parties, and holiday parties. We're located at 322 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Call us today at 931-381-BOWL or visit us at 10pin.com. 10 Pin Alley, it's where the good times roll.
In today's uncertain world, you can never be too careful about your family's financial future. That's why the Parker Group, a part of Baird's Private Wealth Management, is offering a free second opinion on your financial plans. Let us review your current plan, and we will identify any gaps and offer suggestions to improve it. Please call the Parker Group at 931-548-3737. That's 931-548-3737. Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated does not offer tax or legal advice.
This is Mark Curry at the Trailer Store. We are a local, family-owned business. Every day, I work with my wife, Susie, my mother, Becky, and my son, Justin. We offer a full line of lawnmower trailers, utility trailers, stock trailers, and a full line of trailer parts. We also offer service. Come see us at 1021 New Lewisburg Highway. Call us at 931-381-2795. That's 931-381-2795.
Farmer Johnny here, Taylor Family Farm. I want to give y'all a little look-see. We raise 100% non-GMO, grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and pork on our family farm. Everything that we grow is raised with love and care to ensure the highest quality and nutrition for our family and customers. You can shop online at TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com or visit our farm store in person at Etheridge, Tennessee at 301 Dave Reisner Road. That's TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dobson, owner of Caring Hearts Home Healthcare here in Columbia. For over 20 years, we've proudly served our community, locally owned and operated, providing trusted care you can count on. We support seniors, individuals with disabilities, and even short-term care after surgery. From personal care to homemaking and companionship, our team is here to help you or your loved one live safely and comfortably at home. Call Caring Hearts today at 931-381-5470 or stop by in person 1121 Trotwood Avenue here in Columbia.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones & Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones & Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Hello, my name is Zach Maddox. I'm a proud third-generation owner-operator of Columbia Paint and Wallcover, founded by my grandfather, Ralph Maddox, in 1946. We offer a variety of paint and wallcovering products, but our passion is customer service. We can offer many personalized services and can come out to your house or business if needed. Come visit us at our Columbia location or our new Spring Hill location behind Church of the City, or visit us online at paintcolumbia.com.
This is Coach Devin Simler from Columbia Central Baseball. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Mini Cooper, Volvo, BMW, Land Rover, Jaguar. Hi, I'm David Usselton, owner of Usselton Motorworks Foreign Car Repair, located in Columbia, Tennessee. We're at the corner of West 12th and South High Street. We offer a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty on all repairs. Come see us in Columbia, Tennessee, or call us at 931-215-1765, or visit us on the web at usseltons.com.
Harmon Scrap Metal invites you to our annual Columbia Easter egg hunt. Join us Saturday, April 4th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Woodland Park Rotary Shelter in Columbia. With over 10,000 eggs, bounce houses, food trucks, and fun for kids of all ages. It's an event the whole family will love. So grab your baskets and hop on over for an afternoon of Easter fun. We'll see you there.
Okay, we're still on code 3.
This is Lieutenant Orlando Cox with the Columbia Police Department, welcoming you to Columbia, Tennessee, home of the Mule Day Parade. We're expecting large crowds, exciting parade, and a lot of activities throughout Columbia. As we celebrate, please slow down, stay alert, and watch out for pedestrians. Follow officers' directions and avoid distractions. Please buckle up. Let's work together to keep Mule Day safe and fun for everyone. Have a great Mule Day weekend.
Experience snoring, trouble sleeping, daytime exhaustion? All of these could be signs of a sleep disorder. Dr. Samini Umat is bringing her sleep practice to Middle Tennessee, offering both clinic and online appointments with proven results. Telehealth appointments with no waiting rooms, home and in-lab sleep studies with local sleep lab partnerships, including Williamson Med Center. Visit oursleepdoc.com or call 615-302-8039. Your path to better sleep starts here.
Welcome back into In the Middle of It. I'm Jeb Hart. I am happy to be here with y'all on this Monday, 23rd. Clayton Harris with me. How are we, Clayton?
Doing well, Jeb. Good morning.
All right. We have alluded to it before. We're not quite at the second hour, but we'll get into it. Clayton, I gave a bit of a rundown as to what led to this, but so y'all need to stay with me here because this is one of those stories. If you didn't know if it was real, you'd assume it was written by a guy that got fired by SNL for being a little too unrealistic. So I'm going to skip to the recap for anybody who missed the first time or doesn't know exactly what's going on. And then we'll get into the updates. Because a few years back, police in Ohio decided that they are going to bust open a serious criminal operation. We're talking about drugs and kidnapping, we're about to make Detective of the Year type energy. They get a warrant, they gear up, their adrenaline's going, they get the battering ram out, and they kick down the door of a house. And it just so happened that house belonged to one Afro man. That Afro man of Because I Got High fame, the whole thing, they storm in expecting Scarface. Instead, they found nothing. No drugs, no crime, no hostages, just security cameras, and this part becomes important, a lemon pound cake sitting peacefully on the counter, about to become the most famous baked good in legal history, I hope. Now, instead of backing out quietly, like, hey guys, wrong house, sorry about the door, they busted things up. They unplugged his cameras. They took about $10,000 in cash, which they then later returned and were like, yeah, we're pretty sure this is all of it, give or take a few hundred, which is an incredible accounting method. Like, it's just, you don't just like Venmo stuff back after a bachelor party with like the police. If they took it, it needed to be itemized and it shouldn't have gotten moved around. And so Afroman is sitting there looking at his broken house, stolen money, and he has the footage of the whole thing before they unplug the cameras. And at that point, our hero in the story, Afroman, had a choice to make. He can go the traditional route, lawyer up, file paperwork, spend years in court, hopefully get a bit of restitution, but they did only steal $400. Or he could do his other option, and thank God he did. He could do what only Afroman would do. He turns the entire thing into a musical career resurgence. This man takes the actual raid footage, the real officers, the real chaos, and drops an entire album of diss tracks like he's responding to a rat beef, except the opponent is the Ohio County Sheriff's Department. Out of this brilliant album, we get bangers like, will you help me repair my door? Why you be disconnecting my camera? And the absolute masterpiece that Clayton was referencing earlier, that was stuck in his head, Lemon Pound Cake, which is a just artistically narrative-driven track inspired by one of the responding police officers standing in his kitchen, just lustfully eyeballing the lemon pound cake. That was his grandma's lemon pound cake sitting on the counter. He wasn't investigating it. He was not securing it for evidence. You could just tell he was contemplating it. He was eyeing himself a slice and being like, this might not be evidence, but ooh, that does look moist. Now, the videos go viral. They get millions of views.
Sheriff kicked down my door.
Yeah, here we go. Yes.
They found no kidnapping victims, just some lemon pound cake. Mama's lemon pound cake. It tastes so nice. It made the sheriff wanna put down his gun and cut him a slice. Of what? Lemon pound cake. He wanna put down his Glock. Lemon pound cake. Trending on TikTok. Lemon pound cake. He's a family guy. Lemon pound cake. The munchies because he got hot. Lemon pound cake. Pound cake.
It's incredible.
He's a Adams County sheriff.
I mean, so yes, for those y'all first listening to the excerpts from the Afroman v. Ohio County Police Department diss album, where he turned lemon pound cake over the what appears to be the melody of Under the Boardwalk and reimagining, as one would. So all of these videos and those songs, and again, if they're all listening to this on the radio, you're just hearing the song. The video is accompanied, and this is a very important note, by the security camera footage. So he is taking his own security camera footage and utilizing it as the background film for the music video, and it is spectacular. So once this goes to the internet does what the internet does. It makes memes, remixes, jokes, and somewhere in an Ohio police precinct, 7 deputies are watching themselves become supporting characters in a comedy album, realizing, oh no, we are the bit. So naturally, they do one thing always guaranteed to make a situation better is they sue him. It'll make it way less humiliating. We'll sue him for $3.9 million, which is a bold move because the legal argument then essentially for defamation essentially becomes, we would like millions of dollars because the man whose house we raided made fun of us for raiding his house incorrectly and raiding the wrong house. Like, you can't break someone's window and then sue them because they tweeted about it. And so that's kind of the breakdown as to how we got to this trial. The barrier for this defamation trial is that, and this is true across all boards with, some nuance state to state, but more or less with defamation, you have to prove that a reasonable person could be misled to believe it to be true, that you could be defamed. It's not a joke. It's not an outlandish thing. You have to establish that, yeah, what he said, a person could believe. And we go to the trial now. We're painting a word picture. And this is where it stops being a legal case and starts being a spectacular piece of performance art. Our protagonist, Afro Man, shows up to court wearing an American flag suit. Now, I want to make sure I'm very clear here. He was not wearing an American flag lapel pin, like presidents do or senators. No, it was a suit made out of American flag.
Don King style,
Don King or the basketball reporter with the jackets, or John Daly,
whatever his name is. Yeah.
John Daly at the British Open with that loudmouth golf stuff. Yes, just the loudest, most aggressive suit ever. And then Afro Man shows up in that suit. He looks like the 4th of July had filed a motion. And then the fireworks start, because I swear to you, as part of the proceeding, the court had to play all of the music videos in their entirety. So, and this is a recorded trial, thank God, because imagine being one of the deputies. You're sitting in a courtroom and the jury is watching a professionally edited music video of you just getting absolutely roasted, set to an original track that is about the trial that you're on. It's like a very meta thing. It's not a testimony. Like, that's a music video premiere. And at one point, one of the deputies started crying on the stand because of the video, which is incredible, because now the emotional distress they're suing over is happening again live in front of everyone because they're the ones who asked for it. It's like touching a hot stove and demanding the court replay the moment in slow motion, and then see, right there is where the stove hurt me.
What about the sheriff's deputy that couldn't answer the question? He didn't know if his wife was sleeping with Afro Man or not. I mean, that was hilarious.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to get to that with the different testimonies, because that's part of the whole idea, is it has to be believable. Like, could Afro Man have had sex with your wife? I mean, I don't know. He could have. Like, they had to force him on a stand to be like, Afro Man could have, because that was one of the lyrics, is like, I had sex with his wife and then I got filthy rich.
Yeah.
So like, Afro Man's defense was pretty straightforward. That was my house they wrongfully broke into. It's my footage from my cameras, and these are jokes. And maybe, just maybe, don't raid the wrong house and this wouldn't have happened.
It's true.
Which, legally speaking, is a pretty strong 4-point plan. I mean, and the don't break into the wrong house does a lot of heavy lifting there. The deputies are arguing that, that Afro Man called them goofy in a song is defamation. And because if goofy is illegal, then every single male group chat in America is a grade A felony. So the jury watches all this unfold, the raid, the videos, the crying, the pound cake, and they deliberate a verdict, and Afro Man wins. Our victor, to the victor go the spoils. He wins completely, no damages, no payout, case dismissed. And you would think that that's where the story ends. Lesson learned, everyone goes home, maybe grows a little, matures. No. Because now we enter what I like to call the we still don't get it phase of the proceedings. And we are coming up on a break right now, so I will get to the next at the next hour. We will get into the fallout of the still very clueless Ohio Police Department and their response to their loss here. We will catch y'all after the turn.
Lemon pound cake, he wanna put down his glide. Lemon pound cake, trending on TikTok. Lemon pound cake, he's a family guy. Lemon pound cake, the munchies because he got high. Lemon pound cake, Pound cake. He sees my cake and my porno mag call boom boom. Something happened to his camera on the way to the evidence room. Mama's lemon pound cake. It tastes so nice. Make the sheriff wanna put down his gun and cut him up.
This is Coach Tredaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
We at Hollins Pharmacy must be doing something right. We've been providing pharmaceutical services in the Middle Tennessee area for over 60 years. The guiding principles of our business are fast, accurate, friendly, personal service. We do not have long waiting lines, and our phone calls are answered by a staff member. We strive to get to know our customers by name, not just a date of birth or number. We are your locally owned hometown pharmacy, and we appreciate your business. We urge you to come visit us at Hollins Pharmacy, 1608 Hatcher Lane here in Columbia.
Hey, this is Derek Ransom with 10 Pin Alley, voted #1 family entertainment center in Murray County. We offer 32 bowling lanes, giant arcade, laser tag, bumper cars, and a full cafe and bar menu. We also specialize in group events, kids and adult birthday parties, company parties, sports team parties, and holiday parties. We're located at 322 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Call us today at 931-381-BOWL or visit us at 10pin.com. 10 Pin Alley, it's where the good times roll.
In today's uncertain world, you can never be too careful about your family's financial future. That's why the Parker Group, a part of Baird's Private Wealth Management, is offering a free second opinion on your financial plans. Let us review your current plan, and we will identify any gaps and offer suggestions to improve it. Please call the Parker Group at 931-548-3737. That's 931-548-3737. Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated does not offer tax or legal advice.
This is Mark Curry at the Trailer Store. We are a local, family-owned business. Every day, I work with my wife, Susie, my mother, Becky, and my son, Justin. We offer a full line of lawnmower trailers, utility trailers, stock trailers, and a full line of trailer parts. We also offer service. Come see us at 1021 New Lewisburg Highway. Call us at 931-381-2795. That's 931-381-2795.
Farmer Johnny here, Taylor Family Farm. I want to give y'all a little look-see. We raise 100% non-GMO, grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and pork on our family farm. Everything that we grow is raised with love and care to ensure the highest quality and nutrition for our family and customers. You can shop online at TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com or visit our farm store in person at Etheridge, Tennessee at 301 Dave Reisner Road. That's TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dobson, owner of Caring Hearts Home Healthcare here in Columbia. For over 20 years, we've proudly served our community, locally owned and operated, providing trusted care you can count on. We support seniors, individuals with disabilities, and even short-term care after surgery. From personal care to homemaking and companionship, our team is here to help you or your loved one live safely and comfortably at home. Call Caring Hearts today at 931-381-5470 or stop by in person 1121 Trotwood Avenue here in Columbia.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones & Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones & Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Hello, my name is Zach Maddox. I'm a proud third-generation owner-operator of Columbia Paint and Wall Cover, founded by my grandfather, Ralph Maddox, in 1946. We offer a variety of paint and wall covering products, but our passion is customer service. We can offer many personalized services and can come out to your house or business if needed.
Come visit us at our Columbia location or our new Spring Hill location behind Church of the City, or visit us online at paintcolumbia.com.
This is Coach Devin Simler from Columbia Central Baseball. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Welcome back in the middle of it. I'm Jeb Hart here with you on this Monday. Got Clayton Harris back in the studio for me. How are we, Clayton?
Doing well, Jeb. Good morning.
Good morning. Clayton informed me we're gonna run straight through this next 30 minutes and then cut it short. So no more commercial breaks to the end. We have somebody coming in to use the studio for an important segment that I'm sure y'all be hearing in the near future. I'll let Clayton handle that, but so I appreciate y'all. I cannot leave y'all with bated breath here on our story of Afro Man because we regaled you with the tale of how we got here. So if you're just missing this, you missed what I can only describe as one of the most entertaining misuses of the American legal system since Judge Judy discovered sarcasm. We walked through the trial, the raid, the music videos, the courtroom, turning into a live screening of his diss track to the people who were suing him for it. And we closed on the verdict, which was a clean sweep for Afro Man. No damages, no apology tour, no let's meet in the middle. Just a jury collectively saying, yeah, you can't do that and then sue a guy for making fun of you for doing something worthy of making fun of. So naturally, what happens next? Everybody accepts the outcome, reflects, grows, moves on with maturity and clear eyes. Of course not. No. The aftermath, we would like to speak to the manager of reality, is after losing, the deputies essentially responded with, we hear the verdict, but we would like a different one. And now we enter the fascinating world of post-verdict denial, where the legal strategy becomes less about winning and more about emotionally processing that loss in public, which is a difficult thing to do. There's been talk of appeals, because apparently the plan is maybe if we keep going long enough, people get tired of the facts, which is, again, a bold strategy. They've had bold strategy after bold strategy, all of which clearly this was so traumatizing that they don't want to have to relive it, but we'll appeal it as many times as need be. Yeah. It's like missing a putt by 10 feet and saying, let's replay the entire round. I think the course was biased. There's a giant problem with that. The case wasn't lost on a technicality. It wasn't some obscure legal loophole that Johnny Cochran pulled out of his back pocket. The jury didn't come back confused asking for more instructions. They weren't like, we're not really sure what happened, but the vibe seemed off. No, they watched everything. They saw the footage. They heard the songs. Some of the jurors bobbed their heads to them. It was very funny. And they understood the context. And they still said, this is not defamation. This is just consequences of doing something dumb. And now, any continued legal effort starts to feel less like justice and more like trying to unring a bell that's already been remixed and put on Spotify. And Afroman is treating it like a victory tour. And so, on the other side of it, he's doing what any rational, grounded human being would do after winning a high-profile lawsuit. He's absolutely not being subtle about it, which I love for him. The man has leaned so far into this moment, he is basically horizontal. He's reposting clips, highlighting moments from the trial. He's reminding everyone repeatedly that not only did he win, he won while the jury watched the music videos, and so did the world, which is a detail he's not going to let die, and neither would I. And I don't think he should let it die, because it's not about just winning the case. What he did was he won the case and then has a highlight reel to go with it. And at this point, the courtroom wasn't just a place of justice or judgment. It was a content studio that he didn't have to pay for at the end of it. And he walked out with new material. The whole thing turns into a master class in unintended consequences.
Oh, he's probably going to go on tour this summer.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who used to play at our fraternity parties. He had an old Winnebago. He made that route. He wasn't winning Grammys or anything. He had one, hit song 20-something years ago, and he rode that for a while, and some other okay ones, and made the college circuit. But he's having a resurgence because of this. Like I said, it's a masterclass in unintended consequences, because the deputies filed their lawsuit because they said the videos damaged their reputation. That was before the lawsuit, before it was an overly viral story. I had known about this going on for a little bit, but it didn't really get in front of me until the trial went. So the unintended consequences now everybody knows. Like it's national news. You have like legal analysts on like reputable stations breaking down the trial.
Jonathan Turley wrote a whole article for Fox News on it. He's a
Yeah, talking about
constitutional
a guy who
law
covers Supreme
professor.
Court hearings and like serious. Because I mean, take all of the theatrics away from it. It is still a legal proceeding in the United States of America that is run by rules, statutes, precedent, appointments, like a hierarchy of appellate court. Like this is a real thing that happened, and we have real pundits who are talking about the validity of constitutional claims at the Supreme Court level. Are talking about how the how the guy had to sit there and listen to Lemon Pound Cake on the stand as the jury watched, and the legal credibility for that, and what the strategy is, and what like it's brilliant because all of that goes from being a corner of the internet to being mainstream media news with this stuff. It's a full blown pop culture moment now, and the thing is, like, that should have been known is that the trial didn't bury these songs; it re-released them with free promotion done by the United States government and this police department in Ohio, because it's the legal equivalent of trying to take down a YouTube video and accidentally having it be played as a Super Bowl commercial. Like, because the optics of the situation from start to finish are just brutal. If you think about the full story arc, you conduct a raid on the wrong house, you find nothing. You damage the property on video that you later disconnect because you realize you look a little squirrely. That gets turned into a song that is humiliating and goes viral. You sue because it hurt your feelings. You sit in court on the stand while you're being recorded for national television while the song is replayed to you. Then you lose, and then you keep going down the same road. At no point in that timeline does that situation improve. No. Not once. It gets worse and worse as they continue down this. It's like watching somebody dig a hole, find a shovel, and say, "Oh, this is exactly what I needed." And then they keep digging, and they're like, "I can't get out of this hole." Oh, shovel, score, keep digging. Yeah. And if you simplify what the courts effectively reinforced here, if you're in someone else's home, performing official duties, being recorded legally, then you don't get to control how that footage is used, especially if it's clearly satire or an artistic expression. I mean, one of my favorite lines from the trial was Afroman's attorney when they were discussing whether or not it fell under parody law or it was clearly a joke. Or he goes, "Look at my client. Look at his suit. Does this appear to be a man who should be taken seriously?" That was his attorney being like, "Who thinks that guy is talking very defamatory, like he really did have sex with that officer's wife?" Or that he was like, "Behold my client in all of his star-spangled regalia. Gaze upon him in his majesty and tell me, is that a person you're going to take tax advice from?" No. So let's not take it all that seriously. So that was kind of what the courts hammered down on was the legal statute. So the translations being like, you don't get to knock on someone's door with a warrant and complain about how you're portrayed when they decide to recap it, because that's not how it works. It's not how any of it's ever worked. And I think this is what makes the story so funny, outside of the nostalgia I feel for my youth and Afro Man. And it's weird to just see the name pop up and be like, what is he? I thought he died when it popped up on a feed, because at the core of the entire situation is about one thing. Like, nobody wanted to be laughed at. That's it. That's the engine behind all of this, because if you strip away the legal language, the filings, motions, it's just a group of people saying, we don't like how we looked. It's really embarrassing. And instead of owning up to it or letting it pass, they tried to correct it through the most public process humanly imaginable, which is, like trying to fix a bad haircut by hosting a press conference.
Right.
Like, I guess this is where it leaves us, because as it stands now, the verdict is in Afroman's favor. The content is still out there and growing, and any continued legal effort is just extending the timeline of worse and worse outcomes for these police officers, which, if you're Afroman, would be ideal, because every extra day that this stays alive or contentious is another day the joke keeps working. And this entire saga has become something way bigger than a lawsuit. It's a case study in what happens when authority is met directly with embarrassment. Embarrassment is confronted by the pressure cooker that is the internet, and the internet meets somebody who knows exactly how to turn that into entertainment. And the final irony of it all is the only thing more damaging than the original videos is their attempt to stop them. Because in the end, their raid created the footage. Footage created the songs. The songs created the lawsuit. And the lawsuit recreated a freaking legend. And at this point, we're way past legal dispute, and we are definitely into folklore territory. Like modern internet era folklore featuring lemon pound cake, a courtroom screening, and a reminder that if your worst moment can be set to music, you might want to let it go before it hits the chorus, because that's where it starts to get real bad. You ride that one out. And I hope that there is an appeal, because I would love for this to keep going, because it is still funny to me.
I mean, the Netflix special is going to be fantastic.
I cannot wait. I mean, that's another interesting thing to think about, because the amount of times, because like we've gone through the Nancy Guthrie thing, which again, talk about attention economy, where that's fallen off the cliff. I watch so many of those things where all of the details are unknown and there's hypotheticals, and I'm always like, I'll wait until the trial, or I'll watch the Netflix documentary, because like you could see something on television and be like, this will be a documentary in very short order, and I'll be able to get the information a little clearer at that point instead of piecemealing it. And I think that also might have driven some of like the apathy with a lot of things we do, is because we're like, I'll catch it in post, and we'll watch the documentary on what's happening. Sometimes that's healthy, because when you're just dealing in speculation, like with the Guthrie situation, things change every day. But once it's kind of fleshed out, then it makes it a bit easier. But we all do kind of wait for the Netflix one, and this one will be fascinating, because obviously he will agree to an interview. I don't think he's going to be one of those. We reached out to Afro Man for comment on the matter. No, he'll have craft services and a table set up, and he'll chat him up for quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to it. But I guess if Afro Man would have been around our generation, where it was making like you'd get it on Kazaa or LimeWire and burn it onto a CD, give your computer HIV and super AIDS, and then burn it onto a CD and have that in little white. And those were the moments when you were a kid where you felt like you were your own personal like editor for a Billboard Top 100. You were finding artists no one had ever heard of. You were an explorer. You were the Magellan of musical taste, and you were going into the dangerous jungles that were LimeWire, risking it all to try to cultivate that sound on row 24 of bus 6, going to like those moments of that. I wonder how much that affects the growth of kids now, because like my kids will like yell at our little Google Home thing and be like, "Hey Google, play what." My son likes Queen and some other things, but we would be like sitting on a bus and a friend would be like, "Hey, listen to this," and they'd put it on. You'd listen to the whole thing, and unless you had anti-shock mode, which drained the battery in like 2 seconds, you'd like hold it flat like a pizza you were delivering on the bus so it didn't skip. And you listen to the whole song. You either liked it or you didn't like it, and like y'all trade headphones, and they listen to your thing, and you like grow your taste in things. Now you have like an algorithm that just shoves it into you, like, and you either skip over it, and the next song is just a singular button away. You didn't have to brave the fields of LimeWire or Napster or any of that to get it. You didn't have to go to Best Buy and get that rack of blank CDs, get a burner, forget how it works. And then at the beginning, you could, if you had the old like CD players, it wasn't even a DVD player, it was like a CD-ROM, you have to get like an external burner thing, and then you'd write on it in circles. That's how your taste got developed. That's how you, like, because you had to put the work in. You had to put in the hours, like, to cultivate a solid mix. Like, you thought that through. Did you not remember, like, you got the Sharpie out and you're making the, like, because you were cultivating an album. You're like, should this go first or second? Should this be where? How do I want the story arc of this album I'm making to land? And you do that, and you make a mixed CD for a girl, really trying to explain your soul to them through the timing and the narrative arc of that mixtape. You made yourself a mixed CD or 50 back in the day.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But see, I grew up in a great time though, man. The music was fantastic. R&B was not what it is today. Like R&B actually existed back then. So yeah, I mean, when I was in high school and stuff, everybody had subwoofers and everything else, you know. So
Having the sound system was a big deal.
Yeah.
And we turned into very mediocre, unlicensed electricians.
I was just about to say that's one thing that these kids today will never ever understand is wiring harness kits, taking out old factory radios out of dashes and replacing them with installation kits, and or blown fuses.
Oh, we installed subs and an amp in my buddy Douglas's car, and we did it. They worked. The car died every single time he used it because it never turned off and it drained the battery. And he went through 4 batteries before his mom's like, "Did you do anything to the car that it would be doing this?" And he was like, "No, nothing." It never occurred to him that us working on the wiring of the car and then immediately after its battery dying every single time might be correlated.
Good gosh.
And I brought that up to him. I was like, "Do you think we might have messed something up when we installed that?" I was like, "Because I got to be honest with you, I had no idea what I'm doing, and those instructions were really small, and I'm dyslexic, so there's a chance I messed it up. Even if I didn't mess it up and followed the instructions, I still might have messed it up, trying my best." And yes, we screwed it up really bad. There's things that were grounded and like constantly running and draining, and like his car was borderline like electrified. Like it was not.
But I bet it sounded good though.
Oh, it bumped, which is why he went through 4 new batteries. He's like, "I'm not turning this thing off." It is. And now I have a neighbor. Their son is about 17, maybe 18, and they're great people. He's a good kid, but he does have a car with subs in it, and he's about 3 houses down. I can hear him when he turns his car on, and when he drives down the street, like when he comes back, I can feel it. And I have never felt more old in my life. To where like I hear it and I'm like, oh, kids in their MTV and Pac-Man video games. And
I mean, it's funny we were talking about this last weekend. I had dinner with some of the guys I used to coach, and one of them was showing me after dinner he had a subwoofer put in his pickup truck in the actual back in the bed of the truck, and had a cover over the top of the bed. And I was thinking, like, kids don't waste their money and spend their money on that stuff like we did anymore.
I mean, because I wonder what it'll be by the time our kids are older. Because like when I was in high school, like the coolest cars that you could get would be like a Tahoe, but like, it was always a couple years old, like the older body style, the 2-door Tahoes before they stopped making them. Those because stopped making those in like '98, so we started driving in 2005, I guess 5 or 6 for some, depending on people in my grade. So those were old, like 10-year-old. Those ones, the old Broncos, the '90s Broncos, the big ones. Those are big.
Oh, hey, I'm telling you, I'm so excited. I can hardly stay still thinking about it. I made a purchase yesterday. So my wife totaled the van a couple of weeks ago, hitting a deer. And so the minivan got totaled, paid it off, insurance covered it. And anyways, we were talking, and my car's paid for. And I said, you know what? Why don't you just take my car, and I'll look to get me just something to piddle around town in. So I had this cousin of mine who passed away a couple of years ago, and his pickup truck's just been sitting in his driveway for the last couple of years. And I was able to get that thing. It's a 1993 Ford F-150 single cab, extended bed with 2 gas tanks on it. I mean, it is
Whoa.
yeah, no, it's gonna need some TLC. It's gonna need some new tires and some other things, a new starter. But I'm excited, man. Like it's kind of because my first truck I ever had as a kid was a 1993 Chevrolet Silverado. So it's so fun to be able to work on a vehicle. I dropped a new battery in that truck and it wouldn't start. So I took a hammer and tapped on the solenoid starter and got back in the truck and it fired right up. And it's like, you know what? You can't do that anymore on these new vehicles. So
You got to hit them with the hammers to go with that. I mean, those are awesome cars. They're the first one after the full-on square body, but they're still really close.
yes, they're
And
considered the OBS, the old body style. Yeah.
yeah, no, those are awesome cars. So I bought a car for my son is about to turn 8 in August. But I bought a car for him from my in-laws because they have one they're not using that it needs a lot of work. So we're going to like work on it together over the next coming years to like build it. But we got a great deal on it. It's an old H2 Hummer for
Oh,
like the
yeah.
first year they made it. So it's a slow, safe car that we can like work on. But those have the LS engines in them. They're big and easy to work on. And I could, you know, I know a decent amount about cars, but I've never really, really like gotten in there and done it. So I'm looking forward to doing that and doing it with him and having him, buy parts for it and work to get to that part because I had to pay for my first car and go through all that. And now the expectation a lot of times is that because from a parenting side, once your kids are old enough to drive, you want them to buy their first car, you want them to do that, but also you super do want them to be driving because it takes a giant amount of responsibility off of you to have to take them everywhere and do everything. So you are inclined to just, take the easy option, which is just buy them kind of a cheaper car and they don't have the ownership in it and they don't have the vested interest, which is, I think if, Hamilton and I build the car together, he'll have his sweat equity into it as well as financial and it'll mean a bit more and all that. So I hope that it comes to that. And I know that people kind of vary on this, but I love the growing up, having the car, fixing it, turning it into your own thing. Like that's your personality. I mean, I don't know if this was just a thing where I came from, but like as soon as you got a car and you drove it to school, you'd have like a long lanyard with your car keys on it. And all you'd do is spin it around. And it was just this peacocking thing of like, look, I have a car. I drove here today. You peons on the bus. Like these were the flexes that you were capable of making at that time. And they were the biggest ones you had the ability to make when you were, for the most part, unemployed and lived with your parents. It was the height of cool. And then you add in those subs in the back, listening to God knows what. Because I mean, you brought up R&B earlier. Like so I grew up in Atlanta. We got 2 minutes, so we got to go. But what was like on y'all's? Because mine was between like jam band, like Widespread Panic, Perpetual Groove, Fish, Dead, that, and then 2000s era Atlanta rap. Just very little middle ground. Some classic rock stuff in there, some of the bangers, but for the most part, the dichotomy was pretty big. What was on your mix CDs?
Well, my senior trip, I remember Little John, the East Side Boys, just put out that first big album they had, and Usher was big. Speaking of Atlanta, now up here, and you were in Memphis too for a while. 3 6 Mafia, Project Pat.
666.
Yeah, I mean they were huge.
I had a Little White CD. The Doubt Me Now CD got stuck in my first car.
Oh, that's tragic.
And I didn't have the money to fix the CD because it was one of the old school ones where it was under the front right seat and it held like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And it got jammed in and it was my car was 98 and this was 2007. It's like getting the new part for it. I just wasn't going to do it. So I just listened to that Doubt Me Now album on repeat quite regularly. Yeah, dude. It's weird. It's why you still like those songs now, even when you're older, It's like your formative time when your taste shape and like the things you like are very much akin to what you listened to in high school, and like it'll still pop on, and like you can forget what you had for lunch earlier or what you did yesterday, but for some reason, like if All Star by Smash Mouth pops on, you still know every lyric to it. That's buried somewhere in the back of your head, just an absolute instant recall. But
I mean,
yeah, I don't.
think about the boy bands during that time too. Like Boys to Men was huge. They were R&B, but then
Bone Thugs and
Backstreet Boys and NSYNC came along, and Timberlake. He's good, but yeah, I mean, like you just don't see that type of music anymore.
You don't see rock bands really anymore. I mean, that was part of an industry thing. We can talk about that because it's a cultural thing. Because the last real big one was Kings of Leon that had like a full studio behind them and a label and all. They pushed it out like they did back in the day. But they've just isolated on individual artists that they can exchange out, because trying to keep a whole band intact for a long period of time, especially rock bands who do drugs or do crazy stuff all the time that makes good music but causes liabilities. They wanted to mitigate that. So they stopped pushing it because it was too complicated. Now we don't have any really modern, great rock bands for the past 10 years, at least not majorly played. There's been some good ones that have come out and still ones that are going, but because the money is not going behind it, it kind of dries it up. But, like I said before, we are going to have to cut it short today. We have somebody coming in to use our studio, but it'll be for the benefit of all in due course. But we will catch y'all tomorrow. Thank you so very much for being in the middle of it with me. Don't let anybody do your thinking for you until I see you next. Be careful, be kind, be good. And we will see you tomorrow morning. Have you a good one. Bye, Clayton. Bye, everybody.
See you, Jeb.